store now. No. All right, Rabbosai, good morning. A lot to do today. Today's daf is Yudaf. We have a beautiful, beautiful Gemara ahead of us. We are picking up on Yud Amud Beis. We are picking up 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 lines up from the bottom. First word on the line, Va'am Rabbi Yossi. We'll say our shir this morning is dedicated by Said and Samahakin in this chus of Refuah Shalema for their aunt Gittel Bas Slato. We hope, who's undergoing major surgery this morning. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah, she will have a complete and enduring refuah with Kol Cholei Yisrael. We also thank our Talmud Torah sponsors for the month of Teves, Shirley Elbaum, together with their sons Avron, Sean, and Judah Elbaum, and their families for dedicating all of the Shir and Drashos of this month in memory of their beloved husband and father, Jerry Elbaum, in commemoration of his 10th yahrzeit. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah, his neshama will have an aliyah and his family a nechama. And about to say, with that, let us begin. Another incredible journey today and adventure in Maseches Berachos. So, I'm Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina, Mishum Lozer ben Yaakov, HaMispal Tzar Sheichavin Es Raglav. We'll say when a person davens, talking about Shmona Esrei, person has to keep his feet together. Shne'emar, Rashi points out over here, Yachavin Es Raglav, Zu Eitzel Zu. One foot next to the other. So the Gemara says, Shne'emar v'ragleihem regel yishara. So we'll say, amazingly enough, where is this learned out from? This learned out from the Navi Yecheskel when describing the Malachim. Right? The Malachim ultimately stand before God with one straight foot. Now, it doesn't really mean that the Malachim have one foot, but rather, again, whatever this means, the Malachim, their feet are together. It appears as if they have one foot. When we daven, we emulate the Malachim. Another incredible halacha. What does it mean? I will say now, literally translated, means don't eat blood. It's one of the Torah states the prohibition for eating blood multiple times. One of the times that it's mentioned, it's phrased in this way: do not eat on the blood, but rather it means don't eat blood. So the Gemara says another drush that comes from it: Lo sochlu kodem shetispalu al dimchem. Do not eat before you daven for your blood, which Rabbi means we don't eat before davening. The idea being that the first thing I do in the morning should be davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That takes precedence over anything else. Eating, which represents taking care of my own physical needs, only comes after I go ahead and daven. I will say, of course, if a person has health issues and they need to eat, or blood sugar, so that we're not talking about that. The person has to take care of their health. Or if you're a chassid and it's Shabbos morning, right, so that's also a lot of different halachas over here. So what the idea is, in general, the concept is that davening is the first thing I do on any given morning. My physical needs, my breakfast, ultimately comes afterwards. So the Gemara says, any person who eats and drinks and then davens, which Rabbi means placing priority over my physical needs, over my spiritual needs. Alava Kasav Omer, about him the pasuk says, "Va'osi hishlachta acharei gavecha." So I'll say, so the pasuk reads, the pasuk that the Gemara is quoting over here is from Malachim. So Vosli hishlachta acharei gavecha. So the Gemara says, Al tikri gavecha ele ge'echa. So I'll say, literally it means, God is saying, the people have cast me behind their back. You've thrown me like over your shoulder. So the Gemara says, don't read it gavecha back, rather read it ge'echa, your pride. You've placed your own pride, you've placed your own needs, right? You've become a Baal Gaiva. You placed your own needs before me. So the Gemara says, so after you're arrogant and you go ahead and you take care of your own needs, i.e. eating, then Kadosh Baruch Hu says, then you finally find time for me. Good. Rabbi Yeshua Omer Ad Gimel Shal. So also going back to the Mishnah now, Rabbi Yeshua says that you could read Kriyas Shema Shel Shachris up until the third hour into the day, right? Which really means I will say through the third hour up until the fourth hour. So remember again, Rabbi Yeshua's logic was what? Rabbi Yeshua's logic is that Kriyas Shema, really Shel Shachris and Shel Arvis, is not simply rooted in day and night. Rather, what is it rooted in? When you go to sleep and when you get up. So therefore, Rabbi Yeshua says the derech of Bnei Malachim, royalty, gets up 3 hours into the day, and therefore halacha lemaisa, that's still the proper zman for Shema. Says the Gemara, Am Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yeshua. Okay, it's very simple. Who this name is Shmuel, the halacha follows Rabbi Yoshua. And both say that indeed is the halacha, that one could, although ideally, the ideal time for Kriyas Shema is when? Kivasikin, which means I'm saying Shema right before sunrise, with Shmona Esrei at sunrise. That's certainly the lechatchila way to daven. Nevertheless, again, I have up through the third hour, ultimately again for Kriyas Shema Shal Shachris. Hakori mikan ve'elech lo hifsid. What happens if you slept, or whatever, even not slept? What happens if just lemaisa, you didn't end up reading Shema, davening Shema until after the third hour? So the Mishnah said, you haven't lost, quote unquote, you haven't lost. You are kikore batorah. You're just like someone who's reading a passage in the Torah. So it says the Gemara, Amar Rav Chisda Yomar Yotzer Ar. So we'll say if Chisda comes along and says, while it's true that you can recite Shema after the third hour, what can't you do? You cannot recite Berachos Kriyas Shema. So if you miss the Zman Kriyas Shema, you can't recite Berachos Kriyas Shema. Meisvei, is that true? Hakori mikan ve'elech lo hifsid kadam shukari batorah. Avam mevarechu shtayim lefoneh va'achas la'achareh. So we'll say, the Brisa says explicitly that if you miss Zman Kriyas Shema, although you've missed the Zman for Shema, at the end of the day, you can still say Shema. It's as if you're reading psukim from the Torah, and in fact, you are permitted to go ahead and say Berachos Kriyas Shema. Tiyufta d'Rav Chisda tiyufta. And Abba say, indeed, that is a refutation of Rav Chisda's position. Iga de Amri, others have a different version of this Gemara. Amr Rav Chisda Amr Ukva, Milo hifsid, shelo hifsid Berachos. What does it mean that if you did not say Shema within the first 3 hours, you can still continue to say Shema and you haven't lost anything? It means you haven't lost Berachos Kriyas Shema. We have a brisa that supports this. If you miss the first 3 hours, you can still continue to say Shema, because it's no different than someone who's reading from the Torah. In other words, you're not fulfilling the biblical obligation of Shema, because the biblical obligation of Shema ends after the third hour of the day. But why not say Shema? Why not say Shema? After all, again, it's no different than just learning psukim from the Torah. But I will say, even if you miss the Zman for Shema, you still say Berachos Kriyas Shema. We see from here that one who davens Kriyas Shema in the right time, his zuchus, the merit of that is even greater than learning Torah. How do I know that? Midiktani hakori mikan ve'ilech lo hifsid ke'adam hakori b'Torah. Mechlal dekori ba'onasa adif. Because you also look at the verbiage here. The verbiage is, you should say Shema in the first 3 hours. If you don't say Shema in the first 3 hours, can you still say it? Can you still say it? And the answer is yes. Because why? It's like kikore batorah. It's like someone who's reading the Torah. So you see from here that reading Shema in the appropriate time is what? Is more important than learning Torah. We both say this is a very important halacha. So halacha l'maisa, how do we paskin? So number one, we all know you have until the third hour of the day to say Kriyas Shema. Now it happens to be, we'll get into this more in the 4th chapter of Berachos, from when you start the counting of 3 hours is a machlokes, right? So you ever notice, you ever read the Zmanim? No, nobody ever flips open his man and starts running through it, long drasha or something. So what happens? So if you notice again, there's always this machlokes, Magen Avram in the Gra, right? About what time Zman Kriyas Shema is. And you think to yourself, why would there be a machlokes? It says an explicit halacha, Kriyas Shema is until the end of the third hour. So we'll say, so the shayla is, when are you beginning to calculate time? Are you calculating time from dawn, or are you calculating time from sunrise? So we'll get into that ultimately again in the 4th chapter, because that has ramifications vis-a-vis Shmona Esrei as well. But for our purposes today, you can recite Shema through the end of the third hour into the day. But we'll say, if I go ahead and for some reason I missed Zman Kriyas Shema, whatever the reason. What's the halacha? The halacha is ultimately, again, that you still continue. You still say Shema even after the third hour. What about Berachos Kriyas Shema? So the halacha is, this is actually quite fascinating. We'll get into this more in the 4th chapter also. Berachos Kriyas Shema do not have a din of Shema. They have a din of Tefillah. The halacha by tefillah is that tefillah actually is until the end of the 4th hour into the day. So therefore, halacha l'maisa, even if you miss Zman Kriyas Shema, you'll still read Shema, and you'll still read Berachos Kriyas Shema, because Berachos Kriyas Shema, again, are treated like tefillah, and therefore, again, can be done until the 4th hour into the day. Good. That's the halacha l'maisa. Mishnah. What's the incredible Mishnah? Beishamai omrim, ba'erev kol adam yata v'yikra. So Beishamai says, we'll say, actually quite amazing. Beishamai is a literalist here. And they take the phrase, B'shach b'chav kumecha, to be reflective of the posture you must assume when reciting Shema. So Beis Shammai says literally, in the evening, Shema should be recited laying down. B'shach b'cha. And in the morning, Kriyas Shema should be recited standing up. Bikumecha, standing up. Beis Hillel omrim no. Kol adam kori kidarko. Beis Hillel says no. The truth is you can read Shema in whatever position you want to assume. Shene'emar. Kidarko just means in whatever position you are. Shene'emar ubelechtecha baderech. Because what does it say by Shema? Shema is recited when? Belechtecha baderech, when you're walking on the road. Walking on the road, Beis Hillel understands just to mean you need not assume any specific posture. Just kind of wherever you're holding, you could say Shema. Im kein lama ne'emar b'shach b'chav kumecha. So Beis Hillel, then why does the pasuk say b'shach b'chav kumecha? B'shah shebnei adam shochvim u'b'shah shebnei adam omdim. Because Beis Hillel holds b'shach b'chav kumecha rabosai is not a statement about posture, but rather what? It is a statement regarding timing. B'shach b'chav kumecha tells you recite morning Shema when you arise. B'shach b'chav kumecha tells me that, B'shach b'chav tells me I recite Kriyas Shema shel Arvis when it's time to go to sleep, and Kriyas Shema shel Shacharis when people arise. Rabbi Tarfon says, it's incredible. Ani hayisi baba derech v'teisi likros kedivrei Beis Shammai v'sakanti batzim v'nei listener. We'll say a wild story. Rabbi Tarfon says, one time I was traveling on the road, and it was time for Kriyas Shema shel Arvis, so I laid down on the side of the road. I figured, I wanted to pass like Beis Shammai, and I realized as I'm laying down on the side of the road, this is probably not the best idea, right? And ultimately, again, I felt that I put myself in sakana because of the robbers. So we'll say, what do they say to him? So the rabbi said back to him, Kidai hayisa l'chuv ba'atzmecha she'avart al divrei Beis Hillel. You know what? If you would have gotten killed, it would have been coming to you. Right? Only Jews talk like this, right? Not like it's okay, don't worry, you'll do better next time. Right? You know what? Had you been beaten up, you would have deserved it. Because ultimately, again, you put aside the statement of Beis Hillel and paskin like Beis Shammai. So we'll say fundamental machlokes, Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, really revolving around the phrase b'shach b'chav kumecha. Beis Shammai ultimately understand that it refers to posture when reciting Shema. Beis Hillel understanding that it refers ultimately again to timing of the recitation of Shema. Now, I will say, now we're going to do in this Gemara, this is really quite amazing, is we're going to not only b'shach b'chav kumecha, but all the psukim of Kriyas Shema, not all, a number of different phrases from Kriyas Shema, we're going to see how both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel interpret it. Quite amazing. Top of Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. Bishlama Beis Hillel kamafar shitamayu. The time of the Beis Shammai. So we'll say Beis Hillel in the Mishnah explain their reasoning and also explain the reasoning of Beis Shammai. Right? In other words, so Beis Hillel explains what they do with b'shach b'chav kumecha, and they also explain the reason for their position is why v'lechtecha baderech. That whatever position you want to assume for the recitation of Shema is absolutely fine. Ela Beis Shammai my time lo amri ke Beis Hillel. But why doesn't Beis Shammai hold like Beis Hillel? Amri lecha Beis Shammai, because Beis Shammai will say im kain nema baboker uba eref. If that's the case, that b'shach b'cha uvekumecha are here to teach me timing, that I should recite the nighttime Shema when I go to sleep, and the morning Shema when I get up, then let it just say what? Baboker uba eref. Right, in the morning and the evening. It gets so much easier. My b'shach b'cha uvekumecha. What does it mean ultimately again when you go to sleep and when you arise? So rather Beis Shammai says like this: b'shas shchiva mamish. For the nighttime Shema, which can be recited when you go to sleep, you mamish have to be laying down. Ubishas kima, and for the morning Shema, when you recite it, kima mamish. You have to literally be standing. Beis Shammai, so what does Beis Shammai do? So we'll say, what does Beis Shammai do with Belechtacha Baderech? Very exciting Gemara. What does Beis Shammai do? So we'll say, remember again, we know what does Beis Hillel do with Belechtacha Baderech? What does Beis Hillel do with that? Pretty much say Shema how you are. Right? Belechtacha Baderech just means you need not assume any specific posture, right, or position for Shema, but pretty much however you are, you could say Shema. What does Beis Shammai do? This was very exciting. Hahumi bailahu l'chidisanya. Both say, watch this. This comes to teach us the following halacha. L'chidisanya b'shivtecha b'veisecha. So let's remember again. The pasuk says that when do you recite Shema? B'shivtecha b'veisecha. Now the truth is, the pasuk is actually not talking about recitation of Shema. What is it talking about? We said Shema. No? Everyone says, right? It's referring to Torah. It's actually referring to Torah, right? It's referring to learning of Torah. B'shivtecha b'veisecha. But again, we're using this ultimately over here to just speak about that, to fine-tune the details of Shema. So watch this. B'shivtecha b'veisecha. So it says when you are sitting in your home. Prat lo'osek b'mitzvah. So we'll say, what does this come to exclude? So this tells me, when am I obligated to say Shema? Ultimately, again, when I'm sitting in my home. But if I am engaged in the performance of another mitzvah, then what? I'm exempt from Shema. Now, both say that's not unique from Shema. What do we call that? Osek b'mitzvah pater min mitzvah. Right? When you are engaged in the performance of one mitzvah, you are exempted from something else. So b'shivtecha b'veisecha teaches me that ultimately, when am I obligated to say Shema? When I'm sitting in my house. Sitting in my house is the metaphoric statement for I'm not doing anything else that is mitzvah related. But if I were to be doing something else that's mitzvah related, I would be exempt from Shema. Watch this. Uvelechtecha b'derech, when you're walking on your way, prat l'chasan. This comes to exclude a chasan. This comes to exclude a groom on his wedding night. Again, we're actually going to see these halachos in greater detail. So the Gemara will say, remember, so belechtecha b'derech is the same idea. Belechtecha b'derech means you're doing your own thing. You're not engaged in anything. A chasan is excluded. Why is a chasan excluded from the obligation of Shema? Mikan amru, from here we learned, hakones es habesula pater. If a man marries a besula, ultimately, again, he is pater from Shema. V'es ha'almana chayiv. But if he marries a widow, he is chayiv in Shema. Was there he marrying a basula and an almana? Look at Rashi. Hakonis es habasula shetharud b'machshavas bi'ilas mitzvah. Because we'll say if he's marrying a basula, then we assume that he's preoccupied. When we say preoccupied, there's a certain element of nervousness as well for that bia rishona, for that first act of relations. And because by a basula, ultimately again there's going to be bleeding, and there could be potential issues of besulim. Therefore, again, his preoccupation is with the bias mitzvah, with the active relations that night of the wedding night, which is a mitzvah. So, because he's preoccupied with the mitzvah, therefore, what? He's exempt from Shema. Mashiach, if he's marrying an almana, if he's marrying a widow, so again, it's not a first act of relations. There's no besulim, there's no dam besulim, and therefore there's no preoccupation with the mitzvah. Therefore, it'll be chayiv ultimately in Shema. So the Gemara says, "My mashma." So I don't understand. How do you learn that from belechtecha b'derech? So we'll say that was an incredible drasha, right? Belechtecha b'derech teaches me that a chasan on the wedding night does not have to say Shema because he's preoccupied with the bias mitzvah. Okay, says the Gemara, how do you know that? Amar Papa kiderech, because we'll say, what does derech mean? Ma derech rishus, just like Rabbi say, derech means something optional, right? Derech just means something optional. Af kol rishus. So to again, any time that you are just engaged in something quote unquote optional, i.e. non-mitzvah related, halacha l'mais you're chayv in Shema. But if you have a preoccupation with something mitzvah related, you're exempt from Shema. So the Gemara says, 1 second, Milo askinan da azlu dvar mitzvah vilo ochim rachmana likri. How do you know? Maybe belechtecha b'derech means this. Maybe belechtecha b'derech means even if you're traveling to do a mitzvah, you're still chayv in Shema. So maybe the drasha is just the opposite. Maybe the drasha is, no matter what you're doing in life, even a mitzvah, you're still obligated in Shema. Im kein lichtov rachmana b'sheves ubelechas. If that's the case, then let the Torah say, when you sit and when you walk. My b'shiftecha uvelechtecha b'sheves didach ubelechas didach u'demechayeves. How the mitzvah patiras. Both say b'shiftecha b'veisecha are possessive. When it literally translated means when I'm engaged in my sitting, when I'm engaged in my traveling. So if all I'm doing in life is something related to me, right, we'll call it something quote unquote optional, then I'm obligated in Shema. But if I have a preoccupation or an engagement in something related to a mitzvah, that could potentially exempt me from Shema. Therefore, the chassan on the wedding night, when he's marrying a basula, will be pater from Shema. To which the Gemara says, Ihachi, if that's the case, Koni says ha'amana nami. To which the Gemara says, I don't understand. But ultimately, again, getting married is a mitzvah. Although it's actually an interesting discussion if getting married is a mitzvah or not. It's not immediately clear if getting married is a mitzvah or if it's a hechsher mitzvah. But again, not our topic for today. But let's assume I'll say for a moment that halacha l'maisa, getting married is a mitzvah. So and certainly the bia rishona, right, the act of relations with one's wife on the wedding night is definitely a mitzvah. So we'll say if that's the case, even if a man is marrying an almana, if he is marrying a widow, ultimately again it should be pater from Shema. To which the Gemara says, "High tarid v'high low tarid." We will say there are two elements over here. There's the idea that a chassan is exempt from Kriyas Shema Bosai is a twofold concept. Number one, that he's engaged in a mitzvah. Number two is that the mitzvah weighs heavily on his mind. Whether that's because of anxiety, whether that's because of nervousness, whether it's because, again, if it turns out that she's not a basula, that could spark a whole variety of other issues. There's a tirda. There's something ultimately, again, weighing on his mind. So there's the mitzvah, and there's the tirda. There's the fact that the chassan is engaged in something mitzvah-related, plus that mitzvah-related item creates a certain level of preoccupation for him. That's what exempts him from Shema. Oh, the Gemara says tirda? So really preoccupation is a reason to be exempt from a mitzvah? Well, if that's the case, afilu tava smina so bayam. But let's say, again, I'm a captain of industry, I have boats at sea, and I get news that what? One of my boats sank, or perhaps contemporarily, right? My portfolio sank, right? So I'll say, so again, if that's the case, that tirda is a reason to be exempt from Kriyas Shema. People are preoccupied with stuff all of the time. So you tell me if I lost money, and as a result I'm preoccupied, I'm exempt from Shema. Maybe you'll say, yes, indeed. Avil chayiv b'chala mitzvahs ha'amuras b'Torah. Now, interestingly enough, we see that preoccupation is not a reason for exemption. How do I know this? Because in Avel, a mourner is chayiv in all mitzvahs. But we'll say not to be confused with an onain, right? An onain is the period between death and burial. That's where there's an exemption from mitzvahs. We're talking about post-burial during Shiva now. An aval is chayiv in all mitzvahs, with one exception, chutz minat tefillin, with the exception of tefillin. Rabbi said this is the halacha is that an aval does not put on tefillin or is not obligated in tefillin yom rishon, on the first day of his avelus. Shar ne'amar b'hem fe'er, because also when it comes to tefillin, as we're going to see, the Navi Yecheskel refers to them ultimately again as a crown. Shene'emar ve'ercha chavush alecha. So because tefillin is called the crown, therefore again the understanding is it's not appropriate for the avel to wear a crown when ultimately he suffered such an incredible loss. So we'll say, yet you see that what? Even though an avel has tirda, right? An avel is, right, a mourner is certainly preoccupied with his loss. Yes, yet what? He is still obligated in the mitzvah. To which the Gemara says, so you see that tirda is not an exemption. To which the Gemara says a very simple distinction. Hasam tarid tirda de mitzvah, hacha tarid tirda de rishus. Ultimately, the Gemara says in the case of the chassan, right, on his wedding night when he's marrying a basula, is preoccupied with a tirda de mitzvah. It is a mitzvah-related preoccupation and anxiety. Masha'in came the avel, but say there's no mitzvah to be preoccupied with your loss, right? Meaning, if an office, right, there's no obligation like that. Just similarly, again, being preoccupied with financial loss is also certainly not a mitzvah. So ultimately, again, when is there an exemption from Kriyas Shema? When there is a preoccupation with something mitzvah-related. But preoccupation with other things ultimately does not result in an exemption. So the Gemara goes weiter. The Gemara says, Beis Shammai, Hahumi Bailu, Prat L'Shluchei Mitzvah. So we'll say, what does Beis Shammai do with Belechtacha B'derech? Right, what does it do with Belechtacha B'derech? That comes to exclude Shluchei Mitzvah. And we'll say that people who are on a mitzvah mission are exempt. Now we'll say, now what's the chap over here? Now what this is saying is as follows. Let's say someone's on their way to do a mitzvah. So remember again, the shaliach, the messenger, is not actually performing the mitzvah yet. Rather, what is he doing? He's traveling to. But even the act of traveling to is still called the mitzvah, and therefore Beis Shammai says such a person will be exempt from a mitzvah. Beis Hillel amri memela shmamina dafila b'derech nami kari. Beis Hillel will say, if you look at Rashi, Beis Hillel amri lecha nihinami dikra lemedrash minei prat lechasan asa memela shmamina belechas didachu demechayeves alma b'derech nami kari. So I'll say ultimately again, Beis Hillel will say we can learn out that same drasha from belechtacha b'derech as well. Good. Tan Rabbanan. What's an incredible Gemara? Beis Hillel says omdin v'korin yoshvin v'korin. Beis Hillel says as follows. And we'll say that ultimately again, Umdin v'korin, you could stand and say Shema, you could sit and say Shema, Matin v'korin, you could lay on your side and say Shema, Holchin b'derech v'korin, you could walk and say Shema, Osin b'malachton v'korin, you could actually be doing your work and saying Shema. We'll discuss that in a later Mishnah. So we'll say, so therefore essentially Beis Hillel says, whatever position you're in, you can say Shema. Right? There's no specific posture for the recitation of Shema. Let's listen to this story. Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Lazar, right? Rabbi Shmuel, the son of Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah. Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah were once together in a place. Now watch this. V'haya Rabbi Shmuel muta. Rabbi Shmuel was laying down on a couch. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah zakov. And Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was sitting up straight. Kivan she gia zman kriyas shema. So watch this. Zman kriyas shema came. This was kriyas shema shel arvis. Hiter Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar laid down. V'zakif Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel sat up. Right, so let's remember again. So Rabbi Shmuel was laying down. Rabbi Elazar was sitting up. When it came time for kriyas shema shel arvis, nighttime shema, Rabbi Elazar laid down and Rabbi Shmuel sat up. Amalur Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Rabbi Shmuel. So Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was a little bit offended Rabbi Shmuel. He said, Yishma lachi, Yishma my brother, em shalach a mashal amal davadom. Let me give you a mashal to what you just did. Mashal la'achar sha'omim lo zikinecha megudol. We'll say it's comparable to if I go over to Reuven and say, Reuven, your beard looks incredible. Right? Your beard's looking great. And what happens? Amr lahem, and Reuven says, really? And we'll say essentially he goes ahead and Reuven shaves off his beard. Right? It's like giving him a compliment about his beard, and then Reuven goes to shave. So Rabbi ben Azariah says, Afkach ata, kolzman sheni zakov atamuta. A whole time I was sitting straight, you were laying down. Achshav keshani hitesi atazakafta. Rabbi ben Azariah says, Rabbi Shmuel, out of deference to you, I was going to lay down for the recitation of Kriyas Shema Shel Arvis. And when I lay down out of deference to you, what do you do? What do you do? You sit back up. Amar lo, ani asisi k'divrei Beis Hillel, v'ata asisi k'divrei Beis Shammai, to which Rabbi Shmuel says, that's because we disagree. You're laying down in accordance with the position, ultimately, again, of Beis Shammai, and I am going ahead and aligning myself with the position of Beis Hillel. Furthermore, again, there's another concern that people may see our behaviors and what? And may establish the halacha a certain way for future generations. So the Gemara says, "My v'lo what does that extra phrase mean that the students will see and establish halacha for future generations? We'll say, watch this. Remember again, you could say on one hand, Beis Hillel said before that what? What position do you need to assume for Kriyas Shema Shel Arvis? What position? Any position you want. So if that's the case, if you think about it, Rabbi Shmuel could have remained laying down. There was no reason for him to get up. But what was Rabbi Shmuel concerned about? Hani mili demata ve'asa meikara. Aval halcha kevan dat hashta havazakif v'hashta muta amri shmamina kibei shamai sirlu shemayira tamid v'ika lachadar. So let's say, what was Rabbi Shmuel? What was Rabbi Shmuel concerned about? See, Rabbi said originally Rabbi Shmuel was laying down. Rabbi Elazar was sitting up. Kriyas Shema Shel Arvis comes, and now what happens? Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah lays down. But Rabbi Shmuel did not feel compelled actually to sit up, because the halacha is like Beis Hillel, that you can say Shema however you want. What was he concerned about? The students are going to see what's happening. But see, if you're a student of these two great Rabbeim, and you look at what's happening, what's the logical conclusion you walk away with? That the halacha follows Beis Shammai. Right? Why? Because now even Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who was sitting up, reclined, and Rabbi Shmuel was reclining as well. So Rabbi Shmuel was concerned that the Talmidim are going to look at what we're doing and are not going to understand what's happening. And they'll walk away with an erroneous conclusion. Therefore, Rabbi Shmuel says, I sat up so that the Talmidim should see that the halacha follows Beis Hillel, not like Beis Shammai. We'll say, which is an incredible musar. What's the incredible musar? We'll say, so many times in life, we go ahead and we reach conclusions based on what we see. Based on what we see. And sometimes what we see is only a very small part of the actual truth. So how careful we have to be, where we just base our logical conclusions based on what we observe without necessarily understanding the entire backstory. Beautiful. Tanya Rabbi Cheskel, As K'dir Rabbi Shammai Asa, K'dir Rabbi Hillel Asa. Rabbi Cheskel says, whoever you want to paskin like when it comes to Kriyas Shema, you could do whatever you want. You want to pass like Beis Hillel, pass like Beis Hillel, pass like Beis Shammai. Rabbi Yosef Amar, no. Not true. Not true. If you paskin like Beis Shammai, you are wrong. You are wrong. This nan mishar, because again, in general, we see then we have a machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. We generally tend to paskin like Hillel, and therefore we'll say once you decide that the halacha follows Hillel, then what? Paskin like Shammai is what? Is wrong. We'll say it's very important yisod. Just because there's an opinion that says something in halacha does not mean that you could rely on that opinion after that opinion has been rejected in in the solidification of halacha. So if machlokes is Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, once we paskin like Beis Hillel, then Beis Shammai's position ultimately is considered to be incorrect. So the Gemara gives an example. It's also a great case. Disnan mishaya rosh shavru b'sukkah v'shuchan b'sukkah bayis. We'll say what happens if someone has the majority of his body in his sukkah, but his table is in his home. So we'll say, so just imagine you have an open wall of your home, and ultimately your table's inside the home, but I'm sitting inside the sukkah. So what's the status of such a sukkah like this? So Beis Shammai poslin, Beis Shammai says it's possible. Beis Hillel machshir, and Beis Hillel say it's okay. Right? Beis Shammai will say is concerned that home is where your table is, right? So therefore, again, if my table is inside the house, Beis Shammai is concerned I'm going to go inside. Beis Hillel says no, as long as your body is inside the sukkah, you're good to go. Amr lahem Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. So Beis Hillel said to Beis Shammai, Ma'aseh shachu ziknei Beis Shammai v'ziknei Beis Hillel v'akar Rabbi Yochanan ben Acharonis. So one time the elders of Beis Shammai went to visit Rabbi Yochanan ben Acharonis. Mitzauhu shayrosh sharu b'sukkah v'shuchan b'sukkah bayis. They saw that he had this kind of setup. That what? His body was in the sukkah, but his table was inside the house. V'lo amru lo klum. And no one said anything to him. So you see from here that what? That Beis Shammai yielded to Beis Hillel. Amru lahem. They said misham raya. You think that's a raya? Afheim amru lo imkein hayisa noheg lo kiyamta mitzas sukkah miyamecha. In fact, Beis Shammai said, the elders of Beis Shammai said to Rabbi Yochanan ben Acharonis, by the way, a good yamtiv. And if this is the way you've been fulfilling the mitzvah of sukkah, you've never fulfilled the mitzvah in your life. Hatzlacha, right? So the Gemara says, "Ranacham Yitzchak Amar Asik Der Beis Shammai Chayiv Misa." I'll say pretty strong. Ranacham Yitzchak says, if you follow the position of Beis Shammai, not only are you wrong, but you're Chayiv Misa. We'll say, why now? What does that mean? What a statement. This nan, because I'll say, tell you why. Rabbi Tarfon, I ni hayisi baba derech v'teisi likros k'divrei Beis Shammai. What's going on in the Mishnah? Rabbi Tarfon says, I passed like Beis Shammai, and therefore one time I was traveling on the road, and I laid down on the side of the road at night, and I put myself in mortal danger. Remember what they said to Rabbi Tarfon? Had something happened to you, your blood would have been on your own hands. So we'll see, you see from the wording of the Mishnah, it's not just the pshat that we favor Beis Hillel over Beis Shammai, we accept Beis Hillel over Beis Shammai, we reject the position of Beis Shammai, and therefore it is wrong to align oneself with the position of Beis Shammai. And I will say this is indeed how we pass halacha l'maisa. In other words, so the truth is, I will say, although the Shulchan Aruch brings down that there is a concept of dafka being seated, at least for the recitation of the first line of Shema, that is a din in kavana. That's because we assume that halacha l'maisa, you have more kavana if you're seated and stationary. But on a technical level, we paskin like Beis Hillel, that pretty much you could say Shema in any position you are for Kriyat Shema Shel Shachris, Kriyat Shema Shel Arvis, but again, for the recitation of the first line, Shema Yisrael Shalom Hashem Echad, which requires explicit kavana, the halacha says ideally you should be stationary. Seated is even better, but l'maisa again at least stationary. Beautiful. Says the Mishnah, B'shachar mevarech shtayim lefanav achas lachareh. So we'll say for the morning Shema, we say 2 brachas before Shema and 1 bracha afterwards. Ba'erev mevarech shtayim lefanav u'shtayim lachareh. At night, Kriyat Shema Shel Arvis, there are 2 brachas before Shema, 2 brachas afterwards. Achas aruka va'achas kitzara. So I will say ultimately again for Shachris, this is going back to Shachris now, one of the brachos is a long, referring to the 2 brachos before Shema, one of the brachos is a long bracha, one of the brachos ultimately again is, I'm sorry, this is for Ma'ariv. For the 2 brachos after Shema and Ma'ariv, one of the brachos is long, one of the brachos is short. Makom sha'amru laharich ina rashay lekater, lekater ina rashay laharich. Rabbi say in general, wherever Chazal told you that you have to make a short bracha, you should make a short bracha, and when they told you to make a longer bracha, you should make a longer bracha. So we'll say Setosis over here just comments. He says makom sha'amru lekater kigon beberchas haperos uberchas hamitzos. So we'll say there are certain shorter brachos, right? Lahadlik ner shel Chanukah, borei priya eitz. Chazal structured these brachos to be short. Wherever Chazal structured a short bracha, you can't make an elongated form of it. Wherever they made an elongated form of a bracha, you can't make a shortened form. Laharich in a right. Lachtom in Roshei Shelo Lachtom, Shel Lachtom in Roshei Lachtom. Still going to say wherever Chazal told you, ultimately again. So we'll say we're going to see that in the world of brachos there are two different brachos. There are some brachos that are just Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, prefix, suffix. Brei Prei Eid, Samot Zilachem Min Haaretz, Lahadlik Ner Shel Chanukah, Lahadlik Ner Shel Shabbos, Al Mitzvah Tzitzis, Laniach Tefillin. So there's a beginning, there's an end. There are other brachos which are called the bracha aruka, where you have a bracha, and then there's the paragraph of the bracha, and the bracha itself ends. It opens with Baruch Atah Hashem, and it ends with another Baruch Atah Hashem. So that's called the bracha aruka. We'll get into this in the Gemara. So wherever Chazal mandated a bracha kitzara, you can't elongate it. Where they mandated a bracha aruka, you can't truncate it. Good. We'll say that's about Berachos Kriyas Shema a little bit. What are the brachos that you say for Shema? Amar Rabbi Yaakov, Amar Rabbi Oshia. So what we're talking about now, first just to give us the context, Kriyas Shema Shel Shachris, which has two brachos before it. What are the brachos that we recite? Amar Rabbi Yaakov, Rabbi Oshia. What are the brachos you recite? Top of Yud Aleph on the base. Yotzei Or Uvarei Choshech. So we'll say remember again, the brachos that we're referring to, of course, what? Are Baruch. About what we call Baruch Hu today. Baruch Hu is Birchas Kriyas Shema. So what's the first bracha? Yotzei Or Uvarei Choshech. God creates light and or fashions light and creates darkness. Lema Yotzei Or Uborei Noga. Why doesn't it say God creates light and also creates twilight? I will say Noga means twilight. So interestingly enough, the Gemara seems to feel that making a bracha regarding twilight is even a greater praise of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because it will say day and night are absolutes. What's the greatness of twilight? The greatness of twilight is it's this in-between state that man doesn't know what it is, yet what? God does. God does. So why not say Yotzer Or Ubarei Noga? To which the Gemara says, Kidichsiv Kamiran. Very simply, I will say, Yotzer Or Uvarei Choshech is not just a phrase that Chazal came up with, rather what? It's a pasuk in Yeshaya. So what is the Gemara doing? The Gemara is quoting the pasuk verbatim. So the Gemara says, Me'ata Ose Shalom Uborei Ra Mi Kamiran. Kidichsiv. We'll say, so remember again, what about another bracha we write? We say Ose Shalom, right? Ose Shalom. Do we say Ose Shalom Uborei Ra? We don't say Ose Shalom Uborei Ra, yet that's what the pasuk says. Elek Sivra. So we say Ose Shalom Uborei Asakol. So, but that's not the pasuk. The pasuk is Ose Shalom Uborei Ra. So if that's the case, that in brachos you only want to quote psukim as they're written, why not say Ose Shalom Uborei Ra? Kid Ela Sivra Vikarinan Hakol. Rather, even though the pasuk says God creates shalom and also creates evil, we instead read it to say Borei Hakol. Why? Because you want the bracha to read a little bit nicer. Hachanami lema noga lishna mahalya. So if that's the case, that you can manipulate the wording of the pasuk to make the bracha a bit more pleasant, so why not say Yotzer Or Uvorei Noga? To which the Gemara says, Ella Amarava kadei lahaskir midas yom balayla umidas layla bayom. Rabbi say in Berachos Kriyas Shema, the way we structure it is, we like to mention the nighttime in the morning and mention the morning in the nighttime. So Yotzer Or Uvorei Choshech is the way we mention nighttime during the Berachos Kriyas Shema of Kriyas Shema Shal Shachris. To which the Gemara says, Bishlam Amidas Laila Bayom Kidaminon Yotzer Or Uvorei Choshech. So I understand that we mention the nighttime by day. That's in the bracha of Yotzer Or Uborei Choshech. God creates light, reference to day, Uborei Choshech, and creates nighttime, a reference to night. Ela Midas Yom Balayla Heichi Mishkachosla. But I will say, when do we ever mention the daytime during the night? Amar Abaye Golel Or Mipnei Choshech V'Choshech Mipnei Or. But I will say, literally, what do we say? Remember again, this is in the brachos prior to Shema of Ma'ariv. Golel Or Mipnei Choshech. Literally again, he rolls out, or I should say, he rolls away light in front of darkness and darkness in front of light. So here you see ultimately again there's a reference to day even by night. V'idach Maihi. And I will say ultimately again, so we'll say, so now I understand. The first bracha of Berachos Kriyas Shema in the morning is what? Yotzer Or Uvorei Choshech. That's bracha number one. And we'll say that bracha ends Yotzer HaMa'oros. Right? Yotzer HaMa'oros. So we'll say, what's bracha number two? V'idach, what's the second bracha? Rabbi Shmuel Avarabba. Avarabba will say is the second bracha of Berachos Kriyas Shema Shel Shachris. I will say, by the way, think about this for just a moment. Isn't it incredible that the Berachos Kriyas Shema that we say today, I will say, are the same Berachos Kriyas Shema that Chazal have that Klal Yisrael has been saying for over 1,000 years. It's the same exact brachos. The same brachos. Incredible. V'chein ori le Rabbi Elazar b'das berei avarabba. Ta'yin ami hachi ein omrim avas olam ela avarabba. Here Rabbi have an interesting statement, interesting brayso. We do not say avas olam. We'll get into this more. Right? The proper verbiage is not avas olam. This is for shachris. Rather, the proper verbiage is what? Ahava Rabba. So we'll say, first bracha, Berachos Kriyas Shal Shachris, is Yotze Erev Varei Choshech. Second bracha is Ava Rabba. V'Rabbanan Amri Avas Olam. Each of the rabbis say, no, the proper verbiage ultimately is what? Avas Olam, not Ava Rabba. V'cheinu Omer, V'ahavas Olam Ahavticha, Al Kim B'Shachticha Chesed. So we'll say, so again, what's the machlokes? So the machlokes is, once again, do you have to mirror the verbiage of the verse or not? The Rabbanan say the pasuk that this is gleaned from is from Yirmiyahu. In Yirmiyahu it says Avas Olam. Therefore, Berachos Kriyas should also read Avas Olam. On the other hand, we'll say the first opinion says no, it's Avarabba. We'll see why they're insisting on Avarabba in just a bit. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel. So we'll say, so now the Gemara is just segueing for just a bit. Now that we brought up Avarabba, we're stopping over here with Berachos Kriyas for a moment, and we're actually transitioning for a moment to Berachas HaTorah. Watch, this is an incredible Gemara. Hishkim L'shanos. Achlo Kara Kriyas Shema. Tzarech Levarich. Supposed to listen to this. If you got up in the morning to learn, if you're learning before you recited Kriyas Shema, then you have to recite Berachas HaTorah. Right? So before you learn this, I will say, if you wake up in the morning and the first thing you're doing is learning and not reciting Shema, you must recite Berachas HaTorah before learning Torah. However, Mishekara Kriyas Shema, once you went ahead and you said Kriyas Shema with its brachos, ein tzarich levarich. You no longer have to recite Berachos Kriyas Shema. Berachos HaTorah. Why not? Shekvar niftar ba'ahava rabba. Because I will say this is amazing halacha. Once you've said the bracha of Ava Rabba, that discharges your obligation for Berachos HaTorah. Now, why is that? Take a look at Rashi. This is incredible. It's Rashi on top. First short line of Rashi. Shekvar nifta ba'Ava Rabba. Why? Sheyesh b'me'im Berachos HaTorah. Because what's in Ava Rabba itself is actually a quasi-truncated form of Berachos HaTorah. How so? What does it say in Ava Rabba? What do we say in Ava Rabba? V'sim b'libenu lilmod ulalamed lishmar velasos ulakayim es kol divrei samut sarasecha usalamdim chukei ritzonecha. All right, so there's a little bit of a different version of Ava Rabba than we have. But we'll say, but what's the idea? In Ava Rabba itself, we say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, put into our heart the ability to learn, the ability to teach, the ability to observe, the ability to practice, the ability to uphold all of the words of your Torah. Therefore, I will say the Gemara says something absolutely amazing, which is Ava Rabba itself functions as a truncated Berachos HaTorah. See, if you got up in the morning, if the first thing you did was to recite Kriyas Shema and the Berachos, once you recited Berachos Kriyas Shema, you have fulfilled your obligation of Berachos HaTorah. We'll say, however, again, if you did not yet say Kriyas Shema and its Berachos, and you want to sit down and learn, you must first recite Berachos HaTorah. Amar Rav Huna. So we'll say the Gemara now uses this as a little bit of a swing for Berachos HaTorah. Amar Rav Huna, lemikra tzarich levarich, lemidrash ein tzarich levarich. So let's say Rav Huna says you only need to recite Berachos HaTorah if you're going to sit down and learn Chumash. But for Medrash, Rashi points out, Mechilta, Sifra, Sifri, right? You do not need to recite Berachos HaTorah. Rabbi Elazar Omer, Lemikra u'lemedrash tzarich levarich. Rabbi Elazar says no. Both for Chumash and for Medrash, you have to recite Berachos HaTorah before learning. Lemishnah ain't tzarich, but for Mishnah, you don't have to recite Berachos HaTorah. Okay? Rabbi Yochanan Omer, Af lemishnah nami tzarich levarich, aval letalmud ain't tzarich levarich. Rabbi Yochanan says you have to recite it for Mikra, for Medrash, and for Mishnah, but not for Gemara. Rava Amar Af letalmud tzarich levarich. And Rava said about say even for Gemara, which essentially means that what you have to recite Berachos Torah for what any piece of Torah you're going to learn before you learn it. Amar Rab Chia bar Ashi Zinin Sagin Hava Kamina Kamei Derav Lisnuye Pirkin Besifra Debei Rav. So Rab Chia bar Ashi said many times I was in front of Rav, and Rav was going to teach us Sifra. And what happened? Vikamashi Yadei Ubarich umasnil and pirikin. He would first wash his hands, recite Berachos HaTorah, and only then would he go on to go ahead and teach us. So Rabbi says, what do you see from here? You see from here that halacha l'maisa, Rabbi says, is indeed halacha l'maisa. Before learning any section of Torah, one must go ahead and recite Berachos HaTorah. Whether you're learning Chumash, Medrash, Mikra, Mishnah, Gemara, you have to recite Berachos HaTorah. Rabbi says, so what is my mevarich? So Rabbi says, just want to tell you as an aside, this halacha that we just read before is very important. Rabbi says, if someone went ahead and forgot to recite Berachos HaTorah, right, and you said Kriyas Shema and Berachos, once you said Av Rabbah the Shulchan Aruch Paskins, you do not go back and recite Berachos HaTorah. Right? So I'll say, so remember, that means, remember, Berachos HaTorah as we have it today has a lot of stuff. There are two primary brachos. There's the bracha of Lasok B'Torah and Asher B'Charbanu. So once you've said Av Rabbah, you've technically you've taken care of your obligation of Berachos HaTorah. You do not go back and recite those brachos. Remember, if you want to recite the supplemental paragraphs, that's fine, because that's just Torah. But L'maisa, that's how you pass. Halacha L'maisa, Av Rabbah functions as a truncated form of Berachos HaTorah. Incredible. So the Gemara says, by the way, my mevarich. So we'll say we kind of totally went on a tangent now to Berachos HaTorah. So exciting. You never know. Right? They would say it's like being on a Talmudic roller coaster. Right? You just close your eyes and don't close your eyes, but you understand. Right? But literally again, you just literally don't know where you're going to go. So now Berachos HaTorah, my mevarich. Now you brought Berachos HaTorah. What do you recite for Berachos HaTorah? I'm Rabbi Shmuel. Shek T'Shem Sa'usav V'Tzivanu Lasok B'Divrei Torah. So Rabbi say, what is Berachos HaTorah? It's the bracha of lasok, to engage, iskus. Rabbi say, we don't just make a bracha to learn Torah, but the bracha we make is lasok, to be osek. Rabbi say, osek means to delve into Torah. Rabbi Yochanan Mesayim ba, hachi harev na'ashem alakenes divrei sarascha b'finu, or v'fifios amcha beis Yisrael. Rabbi Yochanan also had the following conclusion. He said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, make your Torah pleasant. Harev, make it beautiful, make it pleasant. Put it into our mouths and in the mouths of your nation of Israel. V'niyah anachnu b'tze'etzayinu b'tze'etzay amcha beis Yisrael kulanu yodei shemecha va'oskei sarasecha. So we'll see a little bit of different versions. Let us in all of Klal Yisrael, let us be yodei shemecha, Kadosh Baruch Hu, through your Torah. But say, why do we learn Torah? We learn Torah because Torah is the way that we come to know God. It's true we learn Torah because I have to know what to do as a Jew. And I can't know what to do without Torah. You can't, we'll say very simply, you can't be a good Jew without Torah. Not that you can't have a good heart, not that you can't be a well-meaning person, but it's the same way you can't be a physician if you don't go to medical school. You can't be a good Jew if you don't have the knowledge to know what it means to be a good Jew. And where do you get that knowledge? Not from here. It doesn't come from inside. It comes from Torah. Torah gives, and furthermore, so that's number one. But number two, Torah gives me the ability to know HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the greatest gift. I know God through His Torah. Baruch atah Hashem, hamelame Torah li'amo Yisrael. Huna Amar, Asher b'chabana mikol ha'amim, b'nasa lanu as Torah. Rav Hamnuna said, no, Berachos HaTorah is the bracha of Asher b'chabanu. God, you have chosen us from amongst the nations. You have given us your Torah. Baruch atah Hashem nosein HaTorah. Avram Rav Hamnuna, zohi mu'ula shel brachos. Rav Hamnuna said, I really like that bracha of Asher b'chabanu. That's the best bracha. Hilchach, they both say they're all good brachas. You know what we do? Hilchach, nemrinhu, lekulu. I will say because they are all good brachas, therefore what do we say as part of Berachos HaTorah? We recite the Asher b'chabanu, and we also recite the bracha of Lasok b'divrei Torah. Shkach, I will say, stop over, pick a minute to Berachos Kriyas Shema tomorrow.